The funeral of Hulk Hogan was not just a goodbye to a wrestling icon but a profound farewell to a man whose presence shaped lives far beyond the ring. His wife, Skydaily, stood at the center of it all, her grief raw yet dignified, her heart broken but brave enough to speak. Surrounded by family, friends, and wrestling legends under the heavy skies of Florida, she delivered a eulogy so deeply personal, so intimately human, that it seemed to suspend time itself. Beneath a white tent set against the manicured greens of a quiet cemetery, silence hung like mist as Sky approached the lectern, her hands trembling, her breath shallow, but her spirit unyielding. This was not a moment for fanfare or headlines, this was a moment of truth. She wasn't addressing the millions who had cheered for Hulk Hogan in packed arenas. She wasn't speaking to the cameras. She was talking to Terry, the man behind the myth, the husband who brought her coffee in the mornings, who made her laugh on sleepless nights, who confessed his fears during quiet car rides when the world forgot to look. As she looked out into the crowd, Brooke and Nick shattered in the front row, Ric Flair wiping his tears, The Undertaker standing solemn in the back, Vince McMahon gripping a folded program with white knuckles, Sky's voice cracked under the weight of love and loss. She spoke of their first meeting, his nerves, his stammering questions, the clumsy charm of a giant reduced to mush by love. She recalled his private tenderness, the way he doted on their family, the handwritten notes he would leave, the way he quietly carried pain so others could smile. She painted a portrait of a man few had ever truly seen, gentle, funny, deeply human, and as she did, the crowd wept not for the icon, but for the man who had loved so fiercely and so quietly. As a single beam of sunlight broke through the clouds to touch the casket adorned in red and yellow, Sky whispered that he was still with them, always would be, and the crowd seemed to agree without words. When the ceremony paused for a moment of silence, the air was thick with a collective ache, the kind that transcends fame and reaches into the soul. Sky returned to speak once more, this time with the vulnerability of a widow bearing her soul, telling him she forgave every mistake, cherished every kiss, and would keep going not because she was ready but because he would have wanted her to. As the funeral came to its solemn conclusion, and pallbearers including old wrestling allies prepared to carry him away, Sky walked beside the casket, her hand never leaving it. At the hearse, she leaned in and whispered a goodbye so intimate, so sacred, that it left those nearby silent in reverence. "You're free now, my love. Rest easy, and save me a place next to you." The procession left slowly, the crowd frozen in stillness, watching decades of legacy disappear around the bend. Later, as the chapel emptied, Sky remained in the garden, surrounded by memories and whispers of stories from fans and friends, from backstage pranks to heartfelt letters. She sat with Ric Flair, spoke softly with Triple H, held her children close, and faced the unbearable truth that the world no longer held the man who made it make sense. And yet, he was everywhere, in the slideshow of photos capturing moments the world never saw, in the fan letters clutched to her chest, in the statue unveiled at the Hulk Hogan Hope Center that didn't show a pose but a man with open arms. She dedicated herself quietly to the foundation they once dreamed about, building a future in his honor that had nothing to do with fame and everything to do with healing. On the seventh night, in a moment of surreal grace, Sky discovered a VHS tape left behind just for her. In it, Terry, in his usual chair with a soft smile, spoke as if no time had passed, reassuring her that she was the strongest person he knew and that she would survive. He told her to laugh again, to dance, to love, and not be afraid to move on. As the screen faded to black, Sky's tears returned, but this time, they fell with clarity, with gratitude, and with the quiet strength of someone touched by an eternal love. Life moved forward, not in a loud way, but in a gentle reweaving of routines: morning coffee on the porch, journaling by candlelight, volunteering with children at the foundation, answering heartfelt letters from fans young and old. On the anniversary of his passing, a bonfire lit the beach where it all began, where stories were shared and memories written down and placed into the fire, their smoke spiraling into the heavens. Sky's final message to him: "I'm okay now. Still broken, but okay," summed up a year of pain transformed into peace. She heard his voice again in the breeze, not the booming voice of Hulkamania, but the soft whisper of Terry, telling her he always knew she'd make it. And as the flames faded and the stars blinked overhead, she closed her eyes and knew deep down that the legend might have left the ring, but the love would never leave her heart. Through her, his voice would carry. Through every child he inspired, every fan he comforted, And every moment she chose to keep living, Terry Bollea lived on. Not as the invincible Hulk Hogan, but as a man who gave everything, loved completely, and left the world better than he found it. Love like his, she now understood, never ends. It simply changes form. It becomes the whisper in the waves, the flicker of a candle, the reason someone dares to keep going.